House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 8 was leaked online for many to see, and many people did see it. Countless sources shared all the major storylines of Episode 8 across social media. In this video, we're talking about the Season 2 finale and all major scenes that'll happen based on thousands of people who already watched the episode and shared the leaks. From events such as Rhaenyra meeting Alicent, who betrays her own sons and family, to Daemon seeing White Walkers and Daenerys Targaryen in his visions of the future before pledging loyalty to Rhaenyra, and so much more in between. People either hate the episode or love it. There's no middle ground with this one apparently. Let's take a look. Leaks reveal that Alicent visits Rhaenyra at Dragonstone and betrays her side. I honestly hate this. Alicent uses the Grand Maester's knowledge to get a passage from King's Landing to Dragonstone. Alicent takes one guard and arrives there. She surprises Rhaenyra in a similar way with the same line Rhaenyra used, "I had to see you." Alicent says she's lost her way, that nothing is the way she thought, that she resented Rhaenyra, that she didn't know what she wanted, only knew what was expected of her, that everything was taken from her, and that she's committed sins. Alicent tells Rhaenyra about plans to run away with Helaena and Helena's daughter. Rhaenyra asks what Alicent running away has to do with her, what the real reason she came to her is. Alicent proposes a plot. She reveals that Aemond is flying to Harrenhal and she can arrange for the soldiers of King's Landing to surrender and open the city gates for Rhaenyra without bloodshed. Rhaenyra asks about Aegon. Alicent says that he's in a terrible condition, and that she could probably get him to bend the knee. Rhaenyra says that she must take Aegon's head publicly, to which Alicent stays silent. Alicent pretty much sells out all her sons, her brother and her lover to Rhaenyra in the hopes that maybe Helaena and Jaehaera might be spared. She gives Rhaenyra information about all the Green's military movements. So Alicent tries to make peace while they're still in power in King's Landing, and after the opposite faction has already killed her grandson, while at the same time putting a death sentence on her brother Gwaine, lover Criston, and son Aemond as she completely reveals their plans. Before Alicent visits Rhaenyra, Aemond visits Alicent and Helaena. Alicent is asking Helaena if she would like to leave King's Landing, at which point Aemond enters the room abruptly and tells Helaena she's now expected to ride to war on her dragon Dreamfyre. Alicent confronts him. He says she's weak and that she's the one responsible for this mess. Alicent says he's angry and obsessed and would burn the realm over the slight humiliation. Later, Aemond and Helaena meet again. Aemond appeals to their kinship and their sacred role as dragon riders. Aemond asks Helaena once again to come with him to Harrenhal, and with two of their dragons destroy Daemon and his dragon and his army. Helaena asks, "If I refuse, will you burn me like you did Aegon?" Aemond is stunned, with tears in his eyes as he denies he did it. Helaena warns she's seen it, and she also says that Aegon will be king again who will see victories and that Aemond will die at the God's Eye Lake near Harrenhal. As we already know, Helaena has dragon dreams and she can see the future. And here she's spoiling a great battle above the God's Eye that will come in the future between Aemond and Daemon on top of their dragons. Something else also spoiled when she told Daemon in Harrenhal earlier in Season 2 that he will die in that place. Aemond then threatens Helaena again that he could have her killed for treason. She says it wouldn't change anything and walks away, leaving Aemond shocked. Next it says that at Harrenhal, Daemon puts his hand on the weirwood tree at Alice's instruction and he sees a series of visions. The three-eyed raven, the Bloodraven, the White Walkers, a bloody battlefield, his dragon Caraxes is dead, himself sinking and drowning. He then sees 3 dragon eggs and unburned Daenerys from behind as she holds 3 dragons. He sees Rhaenyra Targaryen on the Iron Throne and finally sees and hears Helaena saying, "It's all a story and you're only one part in it. You know your part." This is the second time Daemon's death has been foreshadowed, this time in his own vision where he literally sees his dragon dead and himself drowning at God's Eye after his battle with Aemond and Vhagar in which Daemon wins but everyone dies. In episode 8, Aemond also burns down a place called Sharp's Point. Next it says that Rhaenyra is having a dinner with her new dragon riders, commanding them to learn how to command their dragons as in 2 days they will be sent to Old Town and Lannisport to make them bend a knee. Ulf is drunk at the table and boasts that he'll do amazing in battle and he's not afraid like all the others. Adam replies they'll find out who's the coward soon enough. Rhaenyra warns that knights don't behave that way. Ulf replies, "Make me a knight then." Ulf thinks no one has a sense of humor and backs off and the dinner is interrupted by Rhaenyra's maester, who brings news from Harrenhal that Daemon has gathered a huge army, and Simon Strong thinks it's against Rhaenyra. So Rhaenyra takes her dragon Syrax and a rider Adam with his dragon Seasmoke and they fly to Harrenhal to face Daemon. Then it says that Larys visits Aegon. Aegon speaks without much pain for the first time, calling Maester Orwell a good man. Larys tells Aegon they must leave King's Landing for a long time as Rhaenyra has gained a new advantage, more dragons and dragon riders, much to Aegon's shock. He also tells him Aemond became enraged and burned down Sharp's Point. Aegon calls Aemond a madman. Aegon says he is the king and he will not run, but Larys assures him he must as Aemond will otherwise kill him. Aegon instead wants to be taken to the Iron Throne where he shall imprison Aemond himself. But Larys says they need Aemond and Vhagar against Rhaenyra's 7 dragons and suggests going into hiding for some time to Essos, to let the others destroy themselves, and then they will return and rebuild the kingdom, making Aegon the realm's delight. In the scene we also learn that even Aegon believes his dragon Sunfire is dead. Next we have Rhaenyra speaking to Corlys, and he encourages her to press the advantage, since she has 6 dragons ready and his ships sail at her command. Corlys tells her to take King's Landing quickly. Corlys also talks to Rhaenyra about the threat of Helaena and her dragon Dreamfyre, which hatched when Aegon the Conqueror was alive, a huge dragon by now. Rhaenyra is not concerned since Helaena is not a warrior or someone who would ride a dragon into war. Corlys mentions how Aemond thought he was untouchable with Vhagar, something about which he changed his mind when he saw how many new dragons Rhaenyra has on her side. Corlys also changed the name of his ship from Sea Snake to Queen Who Never Was to honor his late wife Rhaenys. Rhaenyra and Adam fly to Harrenhal on their dragons, but only Rhaenyra lands, dismounts and approaches the gates, where Simon meets her also alone. The two enter the gates and are faced with a crowd of soldiers doing their own thing, but they quickly notice her, the queen. Syrax lands on a broken roof above and looks down at the soldiers, screaming and in range to burn them all if given the command. There's a sort of tense standoff because the soldiers don't know where their Lord Daemon's loyalties lie, and they don't know how to react. Daemon enters and soldiers show him respect as he approaches Rhaenyra. Daemon gets close to her, smiles, acts as if she has nothing to fear. He says he didn't expect her, while Rhaenyra observes he has gathered a formidable army, as Daemon confirms they're all sworn to him. Rhaenyra steps back and asks him where his loyalties lie. Daemon has a long pause, then starts speaking High Valyrian to her, saying he's had a vision that winter is coming and they need to stand against it. Daemon says that Viserys chose her and that he himself was meant to serve her, and that she can unite the realm. Daemon bows to her and tells her that she is the true queen, and all his soldiers follow. Daemon then gives his army a motivating speech. The League then says that Ulf and Jacaerys have a confrontation. Ulf is sitting at the council table with Hugh with his feet up. Ulf is being arrogant and disrespectful to the Crown Prince Jacaerys, calling him boy, and Hugh tries to tell him to behave himself. Jacaerys asks for an apology and Ulf in return hugs Jacaerys, roughs him up a bit and talks about the color of his hair. Jace puts him in his place and threatens to feed him to the dogs. Per countless reports of people who have seen the episode 8, the season 2 finale ends with a montage which includes Alicent leaving Dragonstone, Hugh, Adam and Ulf putting on armor and preparing to go to war and attack Hightower's Old Town and Lannister's Lannisport with their dragons. Rhaena finding wild dragon Sheepstealer who roars at her, but she claims him off screen. Hightower army marching with Daeron and his dragon Tessarion flying above them, Stark army crossing the Twins into the Riverlands, Lannister army approaching the Riverlands, Daemon overseeing his army also in the Riverlands, Tywin Lannister sailing with the Triarchy towards the Gullet, Corlys Velaryon and his son Adam sailing towards their ship to continue the blockade. We see imprisoned Otto Hightower on a ship, which might mean that the Greyjoys, who have been mentioned many times this season, might be the ones who captured Otto, and finally we see Larys smuggling Aegon out of King's Landing. That's the end of Season 2. The Season 2 finale is pretty much a prelude to the actual important events that will take place in Season 3, such as the fall of King's Landing, the Battle of the Gullet, Aemond's taking of Harrenhal, as well as many other battles in the Riverlands between Cregan Stark's Winter Wolves and Daemon's Rivermen against Criston Cole's forces, and the incoming Lannister and Hightower armies who have Daeron and Tessarion on their side. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section down below. What do you like and what do you hate about the Season 2 finale, and what would you change? For free, you can now listen to the entire audiobook Fire and Blood, on which House of the Dragon is based and which covers the entire Targaryen history, including current and future events of House of the Dragon, for free with a notable trial using our link in the description. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one.